presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound the Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day, and I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
First scrimmage of camp behind us. Associated Press poll coming out today. More Ducks showing up on some preseason watch lists. We also had Oregon soccer and Oregon volleyball in action over the weekend. It feels like the fall is here. It's supposed to be 100 degrees in the Emerald Valley today. I gotta say, though, it really does feel like the fall sports are in full swing. Oregon soccer, a win last week on the road against the Beavs, a draw in their final tune-up exhibition against Idaho. Also Oregon volleyball and the green and yellow scrimmage on Friday. We'll break all that down for you coming up. And, of course, Oregon football inside Autzen Stadium on Saturday. Scrimmage day. Fun. Every year when we get to the scrimmage. I said it on Friday that it does feel like the evaluation is a little bit bigger when there's a scrimmage. And for someone like me, just want to watch from afar and see big plays and start to prep for the season, who's going to be where. Got to do some of that on Saturday. We'll hear from Dan Lanning in a moment. First, though, today, the Oregon football team will open up in the top 10 of the Associated Press poll for the second consecutive season after checking in at number 7 in the preseason rankings released this morning. Ducks also debuted at number 7 in the USA Today coaches poll released last week. It is, I should say, the first time since 2015 that Oregon has been in the top 10 of the AP poll in consecutive seasons. The Ducks checked in at number 3 in the 2024 preseason poll. UO opened in the top 10 in 5 straight seasons from 2011 to 2015. Ducks have now opened in the top 25 of the AP poll in each of the last 8 seasons. Coming off a historic 2024, this Oregon team opens the season against Montana State on Saturday, August 30th. 1 o'clock start. Big Ten Network's got the TV. We've got an 11 a.m. pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. The rest of that AP poll, Texas checks in at number 1. Then Big Ten foe Penn State at number 2. I know you're not supposed to look ahead, and I know you're not supposed to circle games on the schedule, but 2 versus 7 sounds like a fun regular season game in Happy Valley. Ohio State checking in at number 3, Clemson at 4, Georgia 5, Notre Dame 6, the Ducks are 7, Alabama 8, LSU 9, Miami 10. Arizona State 11, Illinois 12, South Carolina 13, Michigan 14, Florida 15, SMU at 16, Kansas State 17, Oklahoma 18. Texas A&M 19, Indiana 20, Ole Miss 21, Iowa State 22, Texas Tech 23, Tennessee 24, and Boise State at number 25. Did you follow all that? Takeaways are that Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon are 3 Big Ten teams in the top 7. In this college football playoff era, feels pretty good to be in the top 7. And the Ducks may match up with both of those teams this season, depending on how things go. Also, Bryce Betcher, Dylan Thieneman, and Mateo Uiagalelei are all on the Chuck Bednarik Award watch list. That's pretty exciting for those guys that have garnered a lot of attention, and you think about guys that have different stories. Mateo Uiagalelei, highly touted recruit, comes to Oregon, makes a name for himself, particularly last season, now gets some of these preseason honors. Bryce Betcher came to Oregon to play baseball and maybe football. Made a name for himself on special teams. Now he's on the watch list for one of the most prestigious defensive awards in college football heading into this season. And Dylan Thieneman, a transfer coming from Purdue, garnering first-team All-America type preseason chatter. 3 different stories. 3 different Ducks on the Chuck Bednarik Award watch list. It's given annually to the most outstanding defensive player in college football. And for these 3, they were also on the preseason watch list for the Bronco Nagurski Trophy, which is also given to college football's top defensive player. They deserve it. Now, Preseason polls, preseason watch lists. I think all of these players and coaches will be the first to tell you that none of it matters, and we probably won't be referencing the preseason polls or preseason watch lists ever again. You want to be on the semifinalist list for these awards, the finalist list for these awards, and then you want to check in the college football playoff rankings within that top 16, 12, maybe 4. That's where we're at in today's world. How the Ducks get there? More fall camp, more practice. That's what Dan Lanning is going to say. I can almost guarantee it when we hear from the Oregon football head coach, Dan Lanning. Brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. Coach Lanning following Saturday's scrimmage at Autzen Stadium.
Really solid first scrimmage. Walked away healthy, which is always a plus here in fall camp. Attack it. I think defense probably won the day today. Eliminated some explosive plays. Did a good job. In situational defense. Overall, we're able to hit some positive kicks. Overall, protected the ball relatively well on the offensive side of the ball, but certainly a physical day and a good day for both units.
What stood out from Dante's play today and the offense as a whole?
Say it again.
What stood out from Dante's play?
Stood out?
Yeah, if anything, first impression.
I don't know that anything necessarily stood out. Like I said, I think defense won the day. They were able to get some 3 and outs. But operated efficiently, but we just didn't create any explosives and didn't have some of the downfield passing attack that we've had in other days in fall camp. I've come in here before and told you that the offense won the day today. I feel like defense won that.
Yeah, obviously a lot of new guys in that secondary having to work together for the first time. How did they kind of gel today in kind of that first scrimmage action? Yeah,
pretty good. I thought there was good communication. That's one thing that really stood out to me on defense. I thought there was really good communication. When you can get 11 guys playing the same call, you got a chance. So very few moments where there was confusion in the back end there. So overall, all solids from that standpoint.
We've talked about it all off-season and spring, I feel like, but a lot of freshmen that have potential to play and a lot of just younger players that are stepping up into bigger roles this season or can step up into bigger roles. In practice, how do you create an environment that's really intense and kind of gets them up to the speed of football you want them to play without kind of crushing their confidence as a coach?
Well, confidence comes from success, right? So you got to find situations that guys are going to be successful in. And that's always a battle because you want that on both sides of the ball. Sitting in my seat, you get excited after a big play, but then you realize you're also upset because you gave up a big play, right? And same thing for those players. You want to put them in position to be successful. And a lot of times, regardless of the ball's coming to you or not, we want to identify, are guys doing their job? Right? Are they running the route at the right level? Are we blocking the right person? Are we covering the right guy? And, those things I think have really stepped up for those guys. And that's what I want them to realize is you can gain confidence from doing your job. It's not always about a big play catch or a big run or a big tackle. It's about doing your job. That's where you gain confidence.
We were talking to Aiden about some of the athletic feats he has outside of football, Dan, and was curious, one, has he busted out into these backflips into your pool just yet? And in a serious note of it, though, how much of those athletic abilities that he has outside of football do translate onto a football field when he's as big as he is and has the ability to do all these other things that he does?
Yeah, I don't know if I know the plethora of things that Aiden can do. That being said, yeah, I know I definitely seen him, do some athletic stuff, and you want that quickness, you want that speed on the field for you, that ability to react, and that's certainly shown up at moments in fall camp. I think he's got a lot in him, and this will be a great year for that opportunity to come out.
Yeah, just building off that, I know Tosh said that he cracked one of his ribs giving a bear hug, same on Aiden. What's maybe the craziest thing you've seen him do, either on or off the football field?
Nothing that crazy, right? He's a talented player. He's very athletic. I like when he's rushing the passer, man. He's done a good job of being a sub-rusher for us now at times on third downs. He's shown the ability to anchor on first and second, which is something we needed to see show up from him. He's grown a lot, and there's still a lot of room for growth, but I think he's going to be a really talented player for us.
You mentioned the kicks, just with so many changes in special teams. I was curious how with the first scrimmage-like setting, how did the punting situation look, and also across the special teams unit, because there is so many guys in bigger roles that they didn't have before?
Yeah, I need to go back and be able to watch the film to tell you, because I don't know if I necessarily knew who was punting what when I'm sitting back there with the returner. Overall, I think our coverage units have to do a better job. That wasn't where it needs to be today. So whether that's kickoff cover or punt cover, we got to do a better job in those categories. But it seemed like kick locations were good for the most part, and the kicks that we had opportunities to make, I thought we did a good job putting it through the upright.
Yeah, I know you got to look at the film from today, but how's the offensive line been gelling so far through camp? A lot of experience there, but obviously, again, working together for the first time.
Yeah, there's been some real positives. Probably the last 4 practices, I don't know if that'll be the case today, but the last 4 practices, they've hit their target goal when it comes to run average. Today, I don't know if that happened or not. We'll have to go back and be able to evaluate it, but there's been some really positive moments there. They've done a good job of IDing the points and getting to the guys that need to, and they're an aggressive unit, staying connected at the end of the play.
How did you react, and how did Dalen react to the news of yesterday? And with that, does that open the door to Jaden possibly getting a little bit more run at free safety?
Always evaluate. We were multiple guys at multiple positions, but at first I had to get a little bit more clarification on what exactly that all meant. And there's still a road ahead of us in some ways, with this whole process. But I support Dalen. I'm going to let the process continue to play out. Excited for him and what's ahead of us. He's had a really, really good fall camp. I know he's an outstanding young man, so I'm glad he's a part of our team. But obviously this process still has time that it has to play out, and we'll see how it plays out and be ready to adapt and react as needed.
As the boys start to kind of come together to form as like one unit, talk about one of your proudest moments or something that you're shocked to see that has happened as fall camp has started.
Nothing shocked. I just say, like, we had an overtime period the other day, and the energy and enthusiasm on the sideline was pretty awesome. You would have felt like Autzen Stadium was packed, and that's part of what we talk about is trying to create game day like situations in practice, and our guys have done a really good job of that. Whether it's the juice, the energy and enthusiasm that's required. There's been a couple moments like that in fall camp. Guys getting excited for the person next to them.
We saw certainly Jeremiah and Dylan stand out in the spring game, but now with another 8-9 practices, scrimmage setting, just when you're going to be leaning on redshirt freshman receivers more than a year ago, what stood out about them throughout camp, and if they did anything today that stood out?
Yeah, we've had some big plays. I think both those guys, it was about figuring out what do I need to do, what's my job on this play, and then the contested catches is always a big piece for wideouts, right? You have to be able to go attack the ball, and sometimes you're going to be covered and you still have to go win. I think we've won a lot more on those 50-50 balls against some long DBs that do a good job this fall camp.
You've really worked to create a family atmosphere here. I mean, Todd has Hatcher here, and then your wife and your son are here. Just can you talk about the importance of family, whether you're working in college football, playing college football, or coaching college football?
Yeah, I would just say again, I've said it before, there is no balance in our sport, right? So we always want to steal moments and try to make sure we get an opportunity to be around our families. And, as I'm walking off the field, I'm seeing a lot of our coaches' families down there on the field ready to greet their husbands, knowing that they're about to go in and grade film from this scrimmage and get prepped for tomorrow. And they're not necessarily going to be at home in 30 minutes, right? They're going to be working for a little bit tonight. And that's what's required to be great. So all of our families make great sacrifices, but luckily we're in a place where they can get up here and spend some time with us when they get the opportunity.
Yeah. Joe said yesterday that he thought Jaden and Noah were 2 of the best return duos in the country. I guess just from your perspective, what makes those 2 guys so reliable, specifically in return roles?
I think it always starts with decision making, right? You got to be great decision makers back there. There's a lot of things that can happen when that ball's in the air, and it seems simple as a fan. But there's a lot of decisions on if this ball needs to come out, what's the hang time, where's this return need to go? Is getting the ball at the 25 better than trying to attempt a return? All those things kind of factor in. Where is it kicked? And those guys have proven to be great decision makers, and I think that's where it starts in special teams. The number one goal for us is possession of the ball. And they've done a good job of making sure that we get possession of the ball in those moments. And then they're both, big play threats, right? They have the ability to hit it vertical and create some positive plays for us.
Even if not explosive plays today specifically, but at receiver, when you're looking for someone to raise up, especially with these 2 out at either the X or the Z, has anybody over the course of these week and a half or so starting to rise to the occasion and potentially fill that void?
I think a lot of guys have. We've had explosive plays. You name a wideout, they've probably had one, right? And, Kyler was a little bit more limited early in camp, but he's been able to do a little bit more lately. From the rest of the group, we've seen each guy step up and make some big plays in big moments. And whether that's a package call where we're able to get them in an advantageous situation, we've had a lot of guys take advantage of those moments.
Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, after the first scrimmage of fall camp here on Saturday upstairs in the HDC. Before we head to break, today is Kyrie Jackson's birthday. Would have been Kyrie Jackson's birthday today. And in honor of Kyrie Jackson, help his parents and the Kyrie Jackson Foundation provide scholarships and school supplies for kids in need. This has been an outstanding endeavor from the Kyrie Jackson Foundation, expanding through his family. Donations accepted at KyrieJacksonFoundation.org. KyrieJacksonFoundation.org. Kai Day, as we've been calling it. Timeout. When we come back, updates to the women's basketball schedule, and we've got Joe Lorig talking special teams on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs, and for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You wanted to be cool, which led you to smoking, which led to a pack a day. Then you met that special someone, which led to starting a life with them, which led to wanting to live longer, which led to quitting. Then you heard you may be at risk for lung cancer, which led you to getting a low-dose CT scan. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone or just taking a deep, calming breath to ground yourself. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you real.
Back on Nugget Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Joe Lorig, special teams coordinator for the Ducks, also met with the media over the weekend, Friday evening. We'll have that for you. Aiden Breland, Jeremiah McClellan, a couple guys to get to know some newer faces around the Oregon program that hope to have big impacts this year. But first, the Oregon women's basketball team's non-conference schedule continues to take shape. The Ducks will participate in Hoop Fest Women's Challenge over Thanksgiving week. It'll be in Frisco, Texas. Ducks will take on St. Mary's on Tuesday. It's a noon start time on Tuesday, November 25th, and conclude the multi-team tournament on Thursday, November 27th, Thanksgiving Day, 9 a.m. Pacific time against Old Dominion. Additionally, Oregon has announced its first two games of the 25-26 season, hosting West Georgia in the season opener on November 3rd and Montana on November 8th. Tickets for the Hoop Fest Women's Challenge will go on sale beginning Thursday, August 14th, that's this Thursday, via our friends at Ticketmaster. St. Mary's, good opponent. Old Dominion, good opponent. Ducks on the road Thanksgiving week. Remaining schedule will be announced in the coming days via the Oregon women's basketball social media channels. Non-conference schedule coming together on the women's side and on the men's side. Basketball season going to be here before we know it. That's pretty exciting, though, for Oregon women's basketball. A chance to go to the state of Texas and face some good competition. Next up, Joe Lorig, Oregon Special Teams Coordinator, as the Ducks continue practice today. A lot of details from Joe Lorig, who breaks down, well, some of the intricacies of special teams and what life's like as the coordinator, the returners, the specialist for the Ducks. Getting the view from Joe Lorig over the weekend.
Hey, Coach.
Gage had a memorable spring game. How has he been looking so far this camp, and how much of a battle is it for that kicking spot?
Did you say Gage? Yeah. Gage had a great spring. Also had a really good summer. He's doing a really, really good job for us. It's always competitive. Anytime you have a returning starter, the nod kind of goes to them unless they get beat out. But also we want to compete, every day, just like every position does. So certainly he's in the mix. He's also a guy for the future I'm really excited about, and I think his future is really, really bright.
You could take us into the process of bringing James in, particularly after the spring game went out as it did a punter, Dunny moving on, Kinsman moving on, and the need a punter to create the competition there.
Yeah, so you always want to have at least two punters, for kind of obvious reasons, right? If you only have one and something goes wrong, that can really, really ruin your season. Kind of an undervalued position. It's one of those ones that maybe people don't think about until you don't really have one. I've lived that life at times before, and it's not very fun. It really massively impacts every game. So obviously, anytime you have attrition, we want to replace that attrition. Like I said, we want to have the number at least two. And then whenever we go to replace or to fill a roster spot at Oregon, we're always going to go try to find the very, very best, regardless of what we already have here. We're going to find the best guys that we possibly can in the country. And I knew about him. Obviously, we played against them. And also, he had just done some crazy stuff the year before. And so it was kind of a thing where I would show our guys his film oftentimes, and just some of the crazy kick stuff that he did. Some of those Australians, because they grew up playing rugby, can just do some really tricky, weird stuff. And so he's a guy that I'd kind of been following, but not for the purpose of recruiting for a long time, just because he's good, and I watch other good punters film every week. And so I already knew about him. The special teams coordinator at Boise and I went to college together, so I knew kind of the background stuff on him, what kind of kid he was, what kind of besides the talent piece, but how he would fit in the room and those kind of things. And once he got into the portal and I was able to go see him, it was a natural fit. He really wanted to be here. Having played here in that kind of a game, he knew he had a taste of what it was like, so it was easy to sell him on that. Really likes the West Coast area, and I thought he was the very best guy in the country that we could get to come here and compete.
What's that competition been like? I mean, bringing someone in late, what's the mood been like from the other players in the room, and just kind of as that competition goes into fall?
Yeah, well, I think that the key there is communication. So I was very upfront with all of the. I think everybody in the specialist room knew that we have to have at least two guys, again for obvious reasons. And so at the end of spring ball, it's protocol for us. Every position on our team meets with their position coach. So I met with everybody and made it clear, Ross included, that we were going to bring in a guy and that I was going to go find the very best guy that I could in the country. And so that there wasn't any miscommunication there. They all expected it. And then my messaging to him, when he was deciding to come here was, what that fit would be like, because that's important, and what the expectations were for that person coming in, what the competition would look like. Nothing's handed to you. If you're at Oregon, you're going to compete every day. I tell our guys, like, it's no different than quarterback. You guys don't want to just have one good quarterback, right? Like, you got to have more than one. And so that was a big part of it, is making sure that he would fit. That's my job, to make sure that I bring in a guy that fits. And again, being friends with the coach at Boise helped me to know like what his dynamics were behind the scenes. Some of the things that are hard to figure out in recruiting, I feel like I was able to have a little bit of advanced information on just because of my relationship with Stacey Collins.
Having said that, Joe, yes, needing to at the position. In an ideal world, you don't lean on the position very much at all, and you haven't needed to very much the last 2 years. Could you envision a scenario, because he does have the redshirt year, where you may only need him for 4 games and keep him around for next year because Ross doesn't have that?
No, I haven't really thought about it like that. And I'm kind of curious when we didn't need a punter. What game do we not need a punter? Oh, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, because you always need him. Every single game I've ever been a part of that we've needed him. No, I guess you probably could, when you say it like that, but in our world, at least speaking for myself, you just don't think like that. You put the very best product you can on the field for this season, and if at the end of that another guy has eligibility, awesome. But you don't unless Ross is the guy, then James would have the potential. But if James is the guy, I don't really factor that piece in, if that makes sense. You sometimes do, like if a guy's young, really young, and a guy's really old. So in a perfect world, you wouldn't necessarily have 2 seniors, to be honest with you. But that's, again, what we look at is what is the go get the very, very best guy. And if that guy happens, you'd rather maybe be younger, but if he's a senior, and you just want to put the very best product on the field that you can. And then at the end of this season, we'll reevaluate and see what our needs are and be doing, the same kind of thing.
How would you evaluate the return game, the returners, and just a number? Like, what's a good number for you guys to have, knowing comfortable of who can do it and who can't?
You mean a number like in the depth of it? Yeah. Well, I'm excited about our return game. I'm really excited about our kickoff returns. Obviously we had some really, really big moments last year. You don't get that many opportunities anymore. I think we had 12 or 15 or something. It's been a while since I looked, but it's like the ones we had were pretty important, right? And so we have Noah, who's we call him like the primary returner, because that's typically the ball's kicked to our right, just generally speaking. And then Jaden, who we call the off returner, assuming the ball's kicked to the right, he's on the left side. They're both back, and I think that's, my opinion, it's the best duo in the country, or best tandem, however you want to say it, in the country. I think they're really, really talented and experienced. And then we've got other guys, Dier Hill, DeCorey Moore. There's Malik Benson, Makai Hughes. There's other guys that I'm still kind of figuring out. Tomorrow's the first scrimmage. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but I've been doing this a long time. In my experience, you want to have really about 3 to each side. So like a 6-man rotation, which I don't think we'll have a problem getting to that. Punt returner wise, anytime you lose someone like Tez, it's hard. He was really, really, really a game-changing player. And not only with the plays that he made, but it's the plays where people wouldn't even punt to him, or it would be a bad punt because the punter his coach all week was yelling, don't punt to this guy, punt to the sideline or whatever. That really messes with those punters' heads. So oftentimes it's the things that don't happen. It's like, oh, that guy usually punts really good and he didn't punt good against us. We call them hidden yards. Those really add up. If you have 11 possessions in a game, which is the average, let's say they punt half of them. Okay, so let's just say 5. I'm not great at math. And let's say each punt is 7 yards shorter than maybe normal. That's 35 yards, right? Well, if you could add or delete 35 yards from the defensive stats or add 35 to the offensive stats, like that'd be a really big deal, right? Those are the hidden yards that we're looking for, and Tez caused a lot of those. So replacing that's difficult, but at the same time, I'm really excited about Gary Bryant. He did it a bunch last year as well. He's really talented, really secure with the ball, makes great decisions, has a lot of experience. So decision making is a super important piece of that, because we have a really dynamic offense. I want to make sure that we get the ball back to our offense, right? We only have 2 goals on special teams, is to own the ball and not get penalties, right? So of course I want to be good at punt return too, but if we just get the ball back to our offense, don't get penalties to hurt ourselves, good things will happen because we have a really explosive offense. But with that being said, DeCorian's really good back there. Malik's really good back there. So very similar to kick return, you want to get to about 3. I feel pretty good about those 3. I just haven't seen the other 2 live, but I know I've seen Gary live a lot. He's very experienced.
In the non-specialist roles on special teams, like we touched on a little bit in the spring, we're talking about Kenyon, Joe. Who are some of those guys who are going to fill that mass volume of reps there that you lost from, whether it was the whole secondary, who were major contributors like Taishim and other guys? Is it going to be largely like the 3 redshirt freshman linebackers, some of the redshirt freshmen in the secondary, or redshirt sophomores in the secondary, who logic would dictate if they were doing it a little before, they're just going to do it a lot more now? Is that a safe?
Yeah, I think you're right on it. I think it's you try to special teams is a priority on our team, so we value what our best players play, but certainly you got to be smart with them too. So I think you will see just what you said. Who's Bryce Betcher was on 3 before. Kenyon was on 3. Well, maybe now they're only going to be on 1 or 2, right? Because their player load goes up on offense or defense. And so who's replacing those? And you said it, without going through all the names, it'll be some of the young defensive backs that I'm excited about, some of the young linebackers I'm excited about. Anytime you have depth at running back, Jaden Lamar has been a guy that's played a bunch of special teams. Roger Saliapaga is a guy that's played a bunch of special teams, just a couple names that stick out. So it'll be those kind of guys. I'm not trying to not answer your question. It's just a little early to kind of know all those, but generally speaking, that's who it'll be. I feel really good about it. I think we'll have good depth. I think we've got a mix of good younger and older players. What you don't want to do, it's a change a little bit in the transfer portal era, but you don't want to be really heavy with all your seniors playing, and then the next, because what'll happen is you'll be good and then you won't be good, and then you'll be good and then you'll be bad. So I'm always really conscientious when I build those rosters of having 3 or 4 seniors, 3 or 4 sophomores, 3 or 4 freshmen, so that you just can kind of always be building and always be good in theory, rather than kind of having those dips.
said that Noah and Jaden are one of the best duos. You said the best duo in the nation. What makes them so good as returners? I mean, they're obviously great players, great running backs, but what specifically about them as a duo and a tandem in the return game makes them so good?
Yeah, funny you asked that. I just explained that the days run together right now, but I think it was yesterday or this morning. I coached Tony Pollard, who's a great running back in the NFL. He was an elite kickoff returner for us at Memphis, and I was telling Noah that you have to a big part of being a kickoff returner is having courage. Like, you just have to run straight at a brick wall and trust that brick wall at the last second is going to open, and sometimes it doesn't. Right, that's why you have to have the courage, because sometimes you're going to run into that brick wall, but you got to run through smoke. Some people say it, and he has that ability. He's really fast, obviously, but Noah also has massive courage. He will run right at that wall, and he's really special that way. And then when he gets in the open field, he has the speed to break it. And then with Jaden's a phenomenal blocker. He's really selfless, and he's an awesome communicator. That's a big part of it, is helping that returner know when to stay, helping him know, we say stay in the end zone, for a touchback, right? Or helping him know when to fair catch. He really helps with the decision-making process of the primary returner, and he's very smart, very selfless, totally for the team. He'll do anything for the team, and again, just he's probably the best communicator that I can think of, maybe besides the quarterbacks on the team. So that combination makes him really talented, really special.
Joe Lorig, Oregon Special Teams Coordinator, breaking it all down for us. When we come back, Aiden Breland, Jeremiah McClellan, still going to hear from them, and a little bit from Duck Volleyball and Duck Soccer over the weekend. Stick with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hear that? The crowd's going wild for all the end of summer fun at Toyota's National Sales Event. Going now until September 2nd. Woo-hoo!
See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by your local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hear that? The crowd's going wild for all the end of summer fun at Toyota's National Sales Event. Going now until September 2nd. Woo-hoo!
See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider from the Country Financial Studios after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark, and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child. To give them the love that a child needs is probably the best you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Chris Boucher to the Celtics, joining Peyton Pritchard. Another green uniform. You got to love it. Chris Boucher, great Duck, heading to the Celtics. That was cool to see that. He'll be joining Peyton Pritchard. Aiden Breland for the Oregon football team. We talked with him Friday evening, and I got to tell you, he was fun to get to know because he's done so many different athletic endeavors in his career. Check this out, Aiden Breland, as we get to know a younger Duck.
Small sample size, but you were able to get into that Rose Bowl and record a pressure on Will Howard and get some snaps. What did that do for your confidence, just knowing that you could perform on a big stage like that?
For my confidence, I'd say it really just showed me that I can do it on the big stage and just show that I can play on the collegiate level at a big game.
when the D-line is losing a couple of guys, veteran guys, and Derek and Jamari, just how did you approach the offseason? And then I realize you were injured a little bit there in the spring, but how have you gone about this whole last 7-8 months in preparation for the opportunity that you do have in front of you?
I think it's just about realizing that there are spots open and that your playing time is in your hands now, and you have opportunity to go play, and it's up to you.
How much are you moving around on that defensive line from 3-eye to 4-eye, and where do you feel the most comfortable at right now?
Right now they have me going to the 6 to about the 3 tech. So I play some big end and some 3. I would go from the 6 to the 3 tech. So 6, 5, 3, 2-eye sometimes in some calls. Yeah, that's about it.
Do you have a preference in there?
I like playing it all. The D-line is the D-line. I feel like the 2-eye and the 4-eye and the 6 is all the same. 3 tech, 5 tech, and the 1, it's all the same. It just matters about the bigger bodies when you get in there on the inside.
Going from being a high school star, being maybe the best player on the field every night out on Friday nights to college ball, how did last year make you better?
Last year made me better. I'd say, well, kind of been in the same environment as what I came from. Coming from Mater Dei, you have guys that were just as good as you at practice every day. Like, for example, Brandon Baker. I know he's at Texas now, but practice against him and like other big guys that were like getting just as nationally recruited as you, just as big as you, just as strong as you, just as fast as you. It's kind of the similar environment. You same guys here, everybody here was recruited, everybody here was the best guy where they came from. So it's just about the competition every day and knowing that like winning a rep isn't going to be easy.
What are some of the more unusual athletic feats that you can do? Because for those of us at the softball game, we saw you do a split. I know you're a ridiculous swimmer as well. Like, what are some of the things outside of football that someone your size just doesn't normally do that you're capable of doing?
Okay. I feel like the list can go on because my mom had me in a lot of sports growing up. I've done taekwondo, I've done jiu-jitsu, I've done wrestling, played baseball my whole life. Baseball was my first sport before football. Not a lot of people know that. Swim was also like in the back burner since I was a kid. I actually played a lot of soccer. I enjoy the trampoline. I like flipping around and doing all that stuff. If there's a pool, I'm going to backflip into it. I like diving. What else can I do? The splits came from like taekwondo and it translates to baseball, first base. Yeah, I think the next step is probably like learning to land when on the ground, but I'm just too scared.
Speaking of physical feats, Amari Washington has seen his name pop up nationally a lot. He was on the Freaks list last week. Just curious what you've seen from him going into this year, kind of like as he prepares for this breakout season.
What you just said, a breakout season. That guy is the definition of freak because he's damn near as fast as any defensive end. He's strong as all get out, strong as an ox. And, yeah, that, like you said, freak. Breakout season.
First, are you a black belt in taekwondo or jiu-jitsu, or did you just kind of dabble?
I did taekwondo for 7 years. I got to the brown with the stripe.
Okay.
I think, if I reckon, yeah, brown with the stripe.
Cool. And then, what are some things maybe you learned from the leaders in that room last year on the defensive line? You know, Harmon and Caldwell and Birch.
I feel like the biggest things I learned from them was probably just like little nuggets within the defense, because I feel like last year that was my biggest thing, understanding the defense and understanding like pass rush games and stuff like that. So I feel like Derek Harmon was definitely like big brother, took me under his wing and was like 3x1, you're at the 3 tech and there's a 9 out there, get the rush through the B gap so you can win. So you could take it off that 9 tech because the 9 tech rushing with the tight end out there, he's going to get chipped, you know what I'm saying? So that was like little stuff like that. He would really just take me under there and be like, hey, bro, this is like this. You could win like that because you're fast enough to do that. So he really just take me under there and show me what I could do, what I was capable of.
I realize I'm going to ask you to sum up like 5 years in response, so it's part of a longer discussion at a different time. But as somebody who was offered when you were completing 7th grade by the prior staff,
right?
Take us into that process of when this staff comes in and you start blowing up nationally, and where it wasn't just the first few offers, it was all the offers. What ultimately made this the place to be, and what it was like to finally be here when you were offered back in 2019?
I'd say, like, basically what you're asking me is, like, what made this place home? It's just a perfect fit. So, obviously, like, I got offered by Cristobal, and I was super excited. And to be honest, when he offered me at Miami, he kind of still had that first impression on me because he gave me my first offer. You know what I'm saying? But I'd say when I came here and I saw the defensive head coaching staff, the perfect lifestyle in Eugene, because I'm not really a going out type of kid. I'm from California, but I kind of stay inside, and I love the nature. I love snowboarding out here. I love hiking. They got all the extracurricular activities that I like doing, so it's perfect fit here. It's really calm, not too much to get into, so I just feel like it's the perfect fit. And then you got Dan Lanning, who coached at Georgia, the defensive head coordinator, and now he's a head coach. So it's just Coach Tosh, DC at Alabama, and they just brought the SEC over here, so it just made no sense to try to go out there when you can play everything right here, or have everything you need to play right here.
Aiden Breland, I got to say, the smile on his face when he starts talking about, like, you know, advancing in different martial arts and swimming, and that was cool to just hear from a guy who's done so many different things and then ultimately settles on football. That was Aiden Breland talking with the media there. When we come back, Jeremiah McClellan, some news and notes on the Oregon wide receiver. Also women's soccer, first competition this week. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs, and for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working at our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, know it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. You've been good to me, baby. Better than I've been to myself.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Oregon Volleyball green and yellow scrimmage on Friday. Oregon soccer first official competition takes place this week. Ducks with a couple exhibitions last week on the soccer pitch and on the volleyball court. More on that coming up in a moment. First, though, Jeremiah McClellan, Oregon wide receiver. He talked with the media on Friday as we continue to get to know some of the younger Ducks that are competing for playing time. Jeremiah McClellan, one of them.
I know it's going back a little bit, but seeing as we haven't talked to you before, I wanted to ask you about your recruitment. You had the flip from Ohio State to Oregon on signing day. What was that process like, and what kind of went into your decision to choose the Ducks?
What went into my decision was basically just the connection that Coach Lanning and the staff have here. I really just didn't feel like I had that connection at Ohio State. So the connection I had here and the way Coach Lanning, Coach Terry, Coach Stein, and the guys that recruited me just felt like family here. So, yep.
What contact and relationship did you have with Coach Douglas before this past offseason, and what has it been like to build that relationship the last 7-8 months?
I hadn't really had any contact or anything like that with Coach Douglas, but getting to know him this past 7 to 8 months, I really love him as a coach. So, great coach.
How difficult was it to embrace sitting out last year and having limited playing time, coming from, I'm assuming, we're best player on the field every night out for high school football, and how did that make you better for this season?
It was just basically just a learning experience. Just watching the guys like Tez, Trayshawn, and East Still, just seeing what they do and trying to implement what they do as far as like routine and stuff like that, implement it into my game. So
I know you're probably rotating a lot this fall camp, but where do you feel the most comfortable, whether it's the X or the Z or maybe even the Y? Where do you feel like is more home to you?
Wherever I can make the team the best at. So it doesn't really matter wherever they put me at.
So far in these early stages of fall camp, we've learned a lot about the youth and the competitive level in fall camp, especially at the receiver position. From a player perspective, what have you seen out of this entire room with the youth and the competition competing for a spot on that depth chart?
Shoot, everybody's just competing. Like, it's a whole bunch of dogs in the room. Everybody really wants it. So every day you got to bring your A game. So that's what I'll say. Everybody got to bring your A game.
A lot about DeCorian, obviously, but I'm curious what you've seen from Cooper Perry. He kind of garnered a lot of buzz this spring.
Coop, he's doing excellent right now. He's learning the playbook and things like that, starting to read defenses, starting to get more comfortable with the scheme. So Coop's doing really good right now.
Jeremiah McClellan, one of many wide receivers competing for some time. And, I tell you what, after the scrimmage now, evaluation, practice will continue today. Ducks had a recovery day yesterday. We'll have a lot more from Tony Tuioti on the defensive line side, and then Alik Terry on the offensive line side. Those two assistant coaches scheduled to talk with the media today. More details on tomorrow's show as the Ducks resume practice this week. Now to Oregon Volleyball. Our Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight, green and yellow scrimmage on Friday. Was really fun for me personally to be back at Matthew Knight Arena and my first chance to really get to know and see a lot of the new faces for Oregon Volleyball. One returner for head coach Trent Kirsten. Cora Taylor, a transfer from Butler, playing setter. She was on the green team. Mostly. The Ducks did do some swaps every now and then over the course of the scrimmage. But it was fun also, I want to say, to see Lauren Page back. So at one point during the scrimmage, Lauren Page, former Oregon student athlete, still playing professional volleyball, now back as an assistant coach on the staff. Coach Kirsten had each of his assistant coaches talk to the crowd, kind of introduce themselves. And when Lauren gets the mic, she just goes, "Hey, if y'all don't remember, I'm Lauren Page," and all of Matthew Knight Arena starts clapping. Like, everyone who was there at the green-yellow scrimmage knew who she was, how cool of a story that was for her to come back. I'm looking forward to seeing her re-engage with this Oregon fan base, the community around Oregon volleyball. That was fun. And I bring that up because I think Cora Taylor really experienced some of that in her first action in the green and yellow scrimmage. Cora Taylor, let's get to know the Oregon volleyballer.
Talk about what it felt like to kind of be back out here a little bit different feel from practice with some fans and court down and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's just a great experience, especially to get fans out here and really feel their energy, build off of their energy. It's a little different from practice, but we still brought the intensity, the competitiveness, everything. We're still working just as hard in practice as what we were here. So we're just ready to keep growing and keep building off of that. The Terraflex is great. We've been practicing on wood for the past week, upstairs and downstairs, so getting the feel for the Terraflex, especially for game days and conference and everything. So we're super excited to get started and really just bring it this year.
And what goals do you have, one personally for yourself this season, and then just your whole team, what goals does the team have?
Yeah, so personally, so I want to go overseas and play pro, so really just building off of leadership, mentality, really just skill set wise, and just making myself a better person and a better player in general. Team wise, just really connecting, getting that culture together, just because we only have one returner and a whole new coaching staff and everything. So we're just super excited. We're ready to win and ready to compete with any team that comes with us. So
just talk about the offense, the good, the bad, room for improvement, and what you love about it.
Yeah, so offense is a little quicker. We're trying different sets, zeros and wides and everything, so we're really trying to speed it up just because we do have those shorter hitters. But everything looks great. We're still working on it, still connecting, but we're growing each and every day. So.
First time hearing a shout at home, how is the energy at Matthew Knight Arena?
Oh, it's awesome. I love it. I can't wait to see when it gets packed for games. I've never experienced that personally. I've only played in front of maybe 150, 200 fans, so seeing this entire place packed and really feeling their energy and building off of that during the game, because we really feed on energy. I'm so pumped for that.
Just talk about Coach and his coaching style and kind of what his expectation is this upcoming season.
Yeah, so he's expecting all of us to come in, work hard as possible, give your 100% that day, whatever that 100% looks like. Really feed into it, buy into it, be open. We have a big thing of if you fail, we're going to learn from our failures and not just dwell on them. So kind of just being that open mind, whatever, if a drill feels weird, like still working through it and still improving on everything. So.
The first season for you playing in the Big Ten, which is probably one of the best volleyball conferences, if not the best. What are the feelings that just come from, getting to play in that conference?
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm stoked. Like, it's always a little girl's dream, especially playing volleyball. Like, I'm gonna play for the Big Ten. I'm gonna play for the best of the best. Like, compete with the elite athletes. And that was one of my goals when I was younger. So really, like, being here and experiencing it, it's like unreal. Like, it feels like a dream.
Talk about, you guys are kind of like, no one can watch film on you, even I couldn't. Just talk about how that can come from like an advantage point this season.
Well, just because everyone's such different areas, especially like we have girls all around the world. So we have girls from France, Serbia, Brazil, Argentina. So really trying to find film on us is going to be super hard. So we're definitely at that advantage that nobody really knows what we run and what we do. And even watching like LMU last year to get Trent's coaching style, like it's going to be completely different just because we have completely different tools in the toolbox. So.
Getting to know Cora Taylor, one of the setters competing for time for Coach Kirsten and this Oregon volleyball team. I was fun to hear her, I think, talk about just the environment, what it's going to be like playing at a place like Oregon. I think that many of the new student athletes have those same feelings. And that green and yellow scrimmage is a chance to get some of those feelings out there. When we come back, we'll wrap up today hearing a bit from Coach Kirsten. He's scheduled to join us on the show this week as well, as Oregon volleyball season is rapidly approaching here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Oregon volleyball, green and yellow scrimmage on Friday. A chance to honestly work out some of the nerves in front of fans at Matthew Knight Arena. Trent Kirsten, new head coach for the Ducks, afterwards, as shot by our ace intern, Rachel McConaughey. Shout out to Rachel. Rachel was there post-match. captured all of this for us. Trent Kirsten afterwards.
Coach, just talk about first time under the practice, a little bit more practice field, but still under the lights.
Yeah.
What that feeling will be now.
Yeah, I thought it was just a great opportunity. Thanks to everyone who came to the match. Number one, I had a full room for my chalk talk before the match, which was awesome. So much interaction with our crowd, and I hope they liked what they saw. I think it was such a good experience to put on a jersey for the first time for so many of our players. We have 15 new players on this team and 1 returner, and so I thought that was a really cool opportunity for them to show out in front of our crowd.
You guys will be establishing yourself within the Big Ten as a new and fresh team. What is something you want to be known for?
That we're accepting the challenge of being new, right? Like, we've got 16 people that haven't played together ever before, and we're playing against people that have been playing together for a lot of years, you know, and so what a cool opportunity. It's a blank slate for us. At the same time, we want to carry the tradition of Oregon volleyball. The people that have come before us that have established this program, we want to carry on that weight and hopefully bring that into playing free and being really competitive in the Big Ten.
What were your main takeaways from today's scrimmage?
Yeah, I think everyone sees maybe a few too many missed serves, and I feel that because it's harder to watch as someone in the crowd. But what I saw was people being really aggressive. They were going for it, and those are some of the things that we're looking for right now. I heard this great Coach Lanning quote the other day, and he's like, "I'd rather say whoa, not go," right? And so for us from the service line, I think that's the same mindset.
Talk a little bit about what practice is going to look like next week as far as room for improvement, service errors, and maybe some blocking errors as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of the same. Like, have such a big install of systems right now. We just started, right? And so we're maybe a third of the way through the systems that we want to get to. So we have a long way to go on the defensive side of the ball. Again, I want to stay aggressive from the service line. And I think that some of the other defensive stuff will clean itself up as we just play together for a little longer.
The rivalry runs deep against OSU, and your team will be hitting the road soon. What are you hoping to see from them as they hit the road this upcoming week?
Yeah, luckily I'm familiar with them. I got to play them twice last year. They're actually a really, really talented team, and they have some big-time pieces on the court for them. And so looking forward to a high-quality match. For us, I want to see us come out and be aggressive. I want to see us compete really hard. I want to see us get external and kind of go for it when we're all together and get an opportunity to compete.
Trent Kirsten talking after the green and yellow scrimmage. The Ducks have an exhibition against Oregon State before the season begins toward the end of this month. Continuing to practice, Coach Kirsten will be joining us on the show here coming up in the next few weeks as Oregon volleyball season is almost upon us. Meanwhile, for Oregon soccer season, the first official competition of this athletics year takes place this week. Oregon soccer opening the regular season Thursday at home against Weber State. 6:30 start at Pape Field. The Ducks will then host Portland on Sunday at 6:30. That's Youth Day at Pape Field. Noisemakers handed out for free to the first 250 fans that are in attendance. Youth that's in attendance, that is. Looking forward to Oregon soccer season getting underway. That's it for today. We'll see you on the show tomorrow. Oregon football practice continues. See you then.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire